Hello and welcome everyone. Today we were making Christmas tree decorations, or like in general, like just Christmas decorations. I'm sorry that the video is a little bit late to be like there during Christmas. I'm doing this with air dry clay, and air dry clay usually takes a little bit of time to dry, even though if you make like a thin layer with it, it usually still takes like about 24 hours to dry, if not longer. So this might not be ready for Christmas Eve. If you want to give that to someone for Christmas Eve, I'm not sure if you might have enough time for that. But if you still want to make this for like gifts that you give to people that you see after Christmas, or maybe you want to do this with your friends or your family during the Christmas time, to have like a fun little activity to do, this is perfect. Also, I think you don't there's definitely you can do this with a different material too that doesn't have to dry. For example, you definitely could do this with polymer clay that you have to bake polymer clay like Fimo and stuff that you have to bake. But in this video I'm using air dry clay just because I love this medium so much. It's pretty easy. I don't have the best oven, so air dry clay is a good alternative for me. So yeah, I thought I had a genius idea. I bought some cookie cutters, Christmas themed cookie cutters, and I thought, okay, I could make like Christmas tree decorations with the cookie cutters. You saw them in the video. If you use your cookie cutters that you usually use for making cookies, I would definitely recommend washing them immediately after use, because I learned that air dry clay is definitely very aggressive to like these cutters, because the metal and stuff rusts easily, unless it's like a stainless steel thingy. But so if you use the cookie cutters that you would also use for your, definitely give it a very good and thorough wash and dry them. I never really bake, so I bought these cookie cutters specifically for this project. Yeah, I bought like some cute cookie cutters that I thought would make nice motifs for Christmas trees. And the first thing I did, I rolled the dough. I rolled the air dry clay out on my mat. And the first patch, I definitely did it too thick. I would definitely recommend going pretty thin. I think like 5 millimeters is like the go-to. This is definitely more than 5 millimeters, but it didn't look like it at first. So this is my first batch where I'm like, oh wait a minute, it looks pretty thick, and I would definitely recommend to go thinner, just because the drying time is less than, and it doesn't need to be that thick. It's better, as long as it's not too thin. You cannot go wrong with a little bit thinner when you use air dry clay. I've made the experience that if it's a little bit thinner, it dries way more quicker. And yeah, I was like, okay, I gotta make it thinner. So here I used the rest of the batter. No, sorry, I keep comparing these to cookie batter, but no, here I used the rest of the air dry clay that I had from the first batch, and I made it a little bit thinner, and I noticed, oh my god, okay, this is the right thickness. And you will see later on, I took the whole first batch and repurposed it again, because I noticed, okay, they were too thick. After I cut them with the cookie cutter, I usually try to like smooth out the ends and stuff, because of the cutting process. It gets a little rough around the edges, and I used my polymer clay tools actually to like soften it up a little bit. I mean, you can do that with your fingers too. I just like doing it with the tool. So also I tried to looking for motifs that I could maybe like paint and like draw. That's why I did so many gingerbread people, because I felt like I could decorate them in a fun, cute way. But if you wanna go for just simple stars and stuff, that definitely is a good idea. I kind of regret that I didn't buy any stars, but I think at the store there weren't really any. And also, oh yeah, what I recommend is going for, depends on how much you want to do. If you want to do a lot, I would definitely recommend going for like smaller pieces. But if you want to do like just a few, bigger pieces are definitely fun to draw on. I mean, it definitely depends on how much you want to do and how much time you have. I wouldn't go too small though, because you'll still have to like be able to fit in a little hole in the top, so you can put a thread through it in the end. So I would definitely recommend like going for motifs that where you still have enough space to do that. Rolling it out was a little bit of a hassle. It worked definitely better than what I used to do with other projects. In other projects, I usually used my hand to stretch the clay out, and I do not recommend. I recommend like doing it the way I did it in this video. There are specialized like tools for clay to do it like with that. I did use the one I used in the kitchen because I never really use it anyways. But for this too, I would definitely recommend cleaning up right after the project because the clay does tend to stick to stuff and it's a hassle to get it off after. Yeah, definitely clean your tools immediately after you worked with them. And then I started making holes into the tops of the cut out pieces. I cannot call them cookies because they're not, into the decorations. If you have fancy tools for this, please use them. I don't. I have just this little tool and I just, you know, made do. They're not the prettiest holes, definitely. Oh my god, okay. They're not the prettiest. It doesn't look the prettiest, but you know, I made it work in the end. And honestly, even though if you like use bigger ribbon, the hole really doesn't have to be bigger than that. Be careful to place it in a way that it might not break the motif. With this one, I was very scared if it's gonna break or not. In the end, it worked all out. It all worked out. But yeah, be sure to, you know, find the right placement for that because it can be tricky. After I did everything, I put them down to dry. Honestly, I tried putting them up on this box because that would have been perfect because then they would have like had a lot more air around them to dry. But the box indented the clay in a little bit and you were able to see the stripes of the box and I didn't want to have that. So even with the parchment paper I used here, it's still dented through the parchment paper and through the clay because the clay is still very wet at this point, even though it looks a little bit more drier now. Yeah, it didn't work like that. I just wanted to show you. In theory, that would have been a good idea, but yeah, you can see in a few pieces there's still like these indented lines and they're from the box, and even with the parchment paper, the box left that. So yeah, here are the fully dried pieces, and then I started going in with the colors. I'm using acrylic paint markers. These are like very cheap off-brand acrylic paint markers, and to be honest, I've suffered with those. I do like them, but they still made me suffer. I mean, I have a few of the Posca markers too, but I mainly used like the off-brand ones because I have more of them. And let me tell you, I suffered. But yeah, I still had fun with it. And I first go in on the Christmas tree. Of course, there's a little star there, and then I go in with the green. For some of the colors, I had to double layer. And I think with this Christmas tree, I also had to double layer. Yeah, it was a little bit of a hassle, not gonna lie. You can definitely use other colors too. If you just go in with like acrylic paint and paint them, I think that's like a very cute idea too. And maybe you have a little bit more freedom if you paint them. But the thing is, I didn't go with the paint this time because my acrylic paints are also very cheap. You can see the red line here, and I would have needed to gone over it, I think, twice or thrice if I used the acrylic paint, so I didn't use acrylic paint. And you know, it was also a nice experience to work with the markers. The markers are definitely a little bit more beginner friendly in the sense that you don't, you know, you draw with the markers. You don't have to like paint with it with a brush. I'm not sure about any other kind of colors. I mean, I think it would definitely be possible to go over this with like acrylic gouache because there's also acrylic in it, right? Normal gouache, I'm not sure about, to be honest. I think you maybe also could like draw on them with pencils or like with felt pens. But I don't know. I don't know if that works because afterwards I glazed it with acrylic spray, so it should hold up anyway. So if you do that, you could also like maybe do a different kind of colors. If you go over it with acrylic spray in the end, it might not matter as much which colors you use on the material, but I'm not even sure which kind of colors do hold up on these. Yeah, and so I started like most of the base colors because the colors do need to dry a little bit, especially if you like go in with a little bit more color, which is nice if you do that. I tried to also color on the lines of the motifs just because I think that's a nice look. You know, you can do what you want to do. I didn't color the backside because yeah, I thought that was overkill. If you want to do a double-sided motif, for sure. I think like just the front is enough. Yeah, so yeah, here you can see I also like drew in some motifs with my pencil. I wanted to make like a little nutcracker here. I mean, that was like the motive of the cookie cutter. With my pencil, I drew in some details and I think that worked pretty well. So if you don't want to go in cold turkey with the colors, you definitely can like draw a little sketch first. And it worked pretty well. I was pretty happy because also the colors, if you go in over with acrylic colors, are most of the time stronger than the pencil. I would definitely recommend to go and try to erase a little bit of the lines of the pencil. Maybe if you have a kneaded eraser, that works well in that sense. But usually the acrylic markers are pretty strong and can go over the pencil, and you don't see the pencil lines afterwards. Here I messed up. It wasn't really my fault though, because the pen just suddenly decided to like put in a lot amount of color. I tried to like get rid of it very carefully with like a little bit of paper and stuff, but I'm not gonna lie, it just didn't work. In the end I just smudged it. It got worse, you know. I was like, oh my god, it's worse. And then I decided to just leave it at that, let it dry for a bit, and then color over it later and just hope that it works. It kind of worked out in the end. It was just a little bit unfortunate. I was like, no. Yeah, here you can see that I went over the spot with white. Honestly, it worked pretty well using like a white acrylic marker as kind of like a whiteout, you know. It was just that this marker is so broken. I've had multiple problems with this white marker, but it actually like kind of worked out covering the spot with that. And now when I look at the finished product, I don't even see the spot anymore. So yeah, if you have any mishaps or any mistakes, a white acrylic marker can help you cover it up. So for all the motifs where I first laid down a base color, I now starting to go over again with the details. This was pretty much the process. I think it's very important to like make sure that the base colors are dry, so you can go over again, because if they're not dry, it will smudge around a little bit, and you know, it's fine, but it's better if it doesn't smudge around, right? Here I tried to make like a little cute Christmas tree. I mean, I like how it came out. I feel like I maybe overdid it with the Christmas balls because there's so many on it. And then I kind of regretted putting the snow on it. I wanted to make like it look like there was snow on it, but the white pen became trash after working so much with it, and I don't know, it was a little bit messy, and now when I look at it, I'm like, I kind of regret putting on the white snow on there, but you know, it's also like part of the learning experience. I really loved doing the snowman. I really loved giving them the carrot nose. That's really cute. And on the blue one, I had to go over the blue lines with a second time just because the first time it wasn't strong enough. I think I maybe even changed the color. I don't really remember at this point. But yeah, snowmans are one of my favorites to do. Yeah, here's a few like finishing touches, but also I wanted to show you that you don't really have to only draw what the motif gives you, you know. For example, I drew my cousin and his boyfriend on one of the gingerbread motifs, and that was also really cute, and they were really happy about that. They immediately put it on their Christmas tree. So maybe if you want to like give like a very individual gift, this could be like a way to do it. After I finished coloring all of the motifs, I sprayed them over with a permanent like glossy acrylic spray, just to like, you know, make them a little bit glossier and, you know, save the paint. Then it was time to put on the ribbons. This is the way I would recommend doing it. I'm gonna show you the other way that I kind of messed up. Like I kept the ribbon uncut until I fully was happy with the length of the ribbon, because the next one I did cut the ribbon earlier because it was kind of a hassle having the long ribbon there and trying to make the knot, but in the end I was a little bit unhappy with the length of the ribbon. So I would definitely recommend you having the long ribbon there, even though it's a little bit of a hassle, and cutting it after you finish the knot. Of course you can do like fancy like bows or something like that, but I just kept it simple and did like a double knot, so it's like fixed. But yeah, here you can see the version where I did cut the ribbon early, and to be honest, I mean, it's fine, it wasn't that bad, but I think it's just a tiny bit too short, and so I so I would definitely recommend not cutting it early, even though it might be a little bit of a hassle. Just keep the long ribbon on there until you're done. Yeah, so after I cut everything, I melted the edges with a lighter just so that the edges don't fray. It's very important that you be careful with this. Don't put the flame too close to the ribbon, because even though it melts, it can melt really quickly. Stay a little bit away from it. Don't go in there with a too big of a flame, okay? If you are a child, my god, please don't do this alone. Do this with like parental or like adult supervision. Ask an adult, okay? And if you're an adult, also please be careful, okay? Mistakes can also happen to us, okay? What I also recommend, if the ribbon already is pretty frayed, be sure to cut it down before you go over with the fire to melt it, because the frays catch fire pretty easily and that's not good, okay? Yeah, this is all I did. I really love how they turned out. I still have like a lot to paint, but I didn't paint all of them for this video. And also I forgot the reindeer. I forgot Rudolph. I'm so sad because I forgot to spray him. I will put a ribbon on him later. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. I really had a lot of fun doing this. I'm really sorry that it came so late. I hope that maybe this still, like, you know, will inspire you to do something if you have the will, and if not, maybe you just enjoyed watching the video, which would also make me very happy. Let me know what your plans are for the holiday season, if you do anything, or if you're just staying home, which is also totally fine, or if you're even celebrating. You know, there's all flux of life in this world. I hope you have a good time. I will definitely try to upload a new video soon. I have one in the pipeline, not gonna lie, I still need to cut that. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to feed the algorithm a little bit, you know, with a comment, with a like, with a subscribe. It really helps me out a lot. And if you want to know what I'm up to, you can definitely follow me on social media, and you can definitely join my Discord, where we, you know, hang out and chill a little bit usually. Thanks so much for watching. Bye bye.